Welcome back to another episode of Paint Society. In this episode, we're going to be reviewing a paint gun that has no name. That's right, it's the No Name Paint Gun brand. And well, today we're going to be using a Acura TSX wagon for the review. We have a brand new bumper cover, we have some repairs that we did to a tailgate cover, and we have the undercover spoiler that fits right into the bumper. Let's go ahead and I'm going to show you how to do the prep work before we start the paint. A lot of you guys get confused. Where do I go once I prime it? Well, this is a plastic panel tailgate that we removed from the vehicle. We did a little bit of filler work with some plastic filler, and then we primed it. Now, right into this area, we have a 400 grit sand scratch. Now, since the particular panel is so small, we're probably going to be rebasing the whole entire panel along with rebasing or basing the whole rear bumper since it is brand new. There will be no blending on this project. Including the rear, we have a really good color match for the under spoiler, so we'll be prepping this as well. Now, the first stage in prepping is using a guide coat. Now, you can use black spray paint. The difference with a guide coat is it doesn't clog up the paper as easy. And basically all we want to do is do a light mist coat. Essentially what we have just done is we have put the black paint into all the crevices of the primer, and we're going to sand it away. And this is going to be as an indicator to show us, do we still need to sand? Do we have any low spots? And I'm going to show you that right now. And what I have here is a 320 grit on a hook it or Velcro type of system. Now, there's two types. There's hook it, which is Velcro, and sticky. I prefer hook it. Now, the reason why I'm going to be using a 320 is because I'm going to be sealing this. If I wasn't going to seal it, then I would have to go up to 400, 600, maybe even 800. Now, when we sand, it's a good idea to try to keep a crosshatch pattern, which is a X in one direction and then an X the other way. And what this does is it really helps to evenly sand out your primer area. And when we look closely, we can see how quick the 320 cuts it down. Let me show you what the guide coat does. We can see there's still some little orange peel from the primer, and we need to sand this out because if we don't, then it's going to show through in our base coat and then our clear coat. With all the guide coat removed, I can see I have a smooth surface. Now I'm ready for my next stage. I'm going to be using a 400 grit on the rest of the whole entire panel. Now, I'm not really concerned about any edges because I'm going to be sealing this and painting it from edge to edge because the bumper is getting painted edge to edge, so the cover will sit right inside of here. But before we do that, we're going to apply guide coat only to our primer. We don't need to apply guide coat to our clear coat areas, only to where we put our 320 grit. There's going to be some areas where you just can't get the sander. That's fine. This is a Maroon Scuff Pad equal to 400 grit. And we can use these in the crevices just to get a nice scuff. We don't want any shiny paint. Shiny paint means it's not going to have any adhesion for our sealer to stick down, and then it can peel later on. On our rear diffuser, we don't have any dents or anything that needs to be blocked out. So we're just going to go and we're going to put our guide coat on. And we can just sand this and the rest of the panel with our 400 and our maroon pad, just like our tailgate. And we'll finish up with our scuff pad in the areas where the DA sander just can't get to. On our bumper cover, it's a brand new primered bumper cover, and we know that because when I sand it, I'll see some black start to come off. All right, this will be the indication that this is primer. So it's very important to identify whether it's plastic or primer. Fortunately, since it's primer, all I gotta do is 400 grit it and maroon scuff pad it once again, and it's ready to seal. There's no real reason to use guide coat when scuffing a brand new bumper. This primer is smooth. We're just looking to scuff it up and get adhesion on it. And after everything has been scuffed, what I like to do is use a pressure washer to clean my parts before paint. A lot of times the dirt and debris cannot all be taken off with just a rag. And this allows me to get one final cleaning in with some Bulldog Prep and Clean. This is like an abrasive soap, and this will help scuff further and clean, making sure my panels are clean before they even hit the boot. And it's simple. All you gotta do is rub it in to the panel and then wash it off when it's all done. I'll wash them all off, let them dry a little bit in the Florida sun, and we're ready for paint. While the rest of the parts are drying, let's go ahead and unbox this No Name. Now, this No Name brand is by Spray Gunner. spraygunner.com. They sent it over. They wanted to see what I thought about it. Now, the cool thing I noticed is for hobby and professionals, I never seen anything branded like that before. Now, this gun comes in around $240. So in the paint world, paint guns, I would say it's a pretty affordable gun when you're considering other guns around the $600 to $700 range. All right, so a little item description of what you got. Most gun kits come with a brush at least. The cup adapter, which we will not be using because we'll be using our 3M PPS, which is going to be an S2C, which is a very familiar adapter because that's an Iwata adapter. And when you look at this gun, right, I looked at it once before. What does it resemble to you? All right. Let's take a look. And to me, it looks like it resembles a mix between an LPH 400 and a WS 400. But right out of the package, it's not a heavy gun, but it seems to be built decent. It's got a nice finish. And looking at the gun a little bit closer when we take off the air cap, it came with a 1.4, but you can get a 1.3 as well. And that fluid tip really resembles an LPH 400. It almost looks identical. We went ahead and added on their regulator, and now this reads in bar and PSI. And we are going to do an adjustment right here. Now, find wide open like we do with all our guns. As we back out this fluid control knob just about all the way, we'll press in our trigger. We'll push in until this stops and we can't move it anymore. Now we know we're set at wide open, and then one turn. Fan will keep wide open as well. So we're gonna head into the booth. We're gonna test out the spray pattern, see how consistent it is with something that would come out of an Iwata paint gun. We're ready to load up our paint gun with sealer. Now we are using a tinnable color build sealer. Now this sealer is going to help us because blue is very transparent, and we want to make sure that we get all the coverage in the sealer because sealer is cheaper than base coat. In the booth, we're going to do a test pattern. Now I like to start in and around 25 to 26 psi, around that range. We're going to be about maybe 6 inches from the panel. If you can see that, that's actually a pretty decent spray pattern, but what is it telling us? The spray pattern is telling me that I have very fine droplets, which is a good thing. Very fine droplets mean my gun is set up properly. I have a good pressure. I have a decent middle, and it kind of tapers to the top and the bottom. Very nice and smooth. Let's go ahead and apply that over to our panels. Now in this panel, we're still going to seal it in blue, even though it's going to get a gray finish. After the first coat of sealer, you can see how transparent blue is. Blue, yellow, red, all transparent colors don't cover well. But can you imagine trying to get all your coverage with just base coat? You'd be wasting a lot of money, and you wouldn't have the sealer protection and substrate that we have right here. Over on the rear bumper, well, it covered a lot better because it's going over just black. Now, as I mentioned, it's always important to do a spray out card. We might think it's covered in the booth, but we're going to be spraying the spray out card the same time with the same technique as these parts in the booth. Then we're going to go out to our car and make sure we have enough coverage.
And I'm applying 2 more coats of sealer here, allowing about 5 to 10 minutes in between coats. You want to make sure that the last coat of sealer hardens up enough so when you put your next coat, you'll have even better coverage.
15 minutes and flashing, you can see that we have good coverage after 3 coats. On our tailgate over here, we have good coverage. And the cool thing about this is once we lay down our sealer, we have smooth to the touch. If it goes on wet, it's going to dry smooth. And if we don't have a smooth substrate, then we don't have smooth base and we don't have smooth clear coat, which can be a factor leading to orange peel. Our gun is all cleaned out. We're ready to spray our blue base coat on the tailgate and the bumper. Once we're done with that, we'll mix up some metallic and spray that. And once more over here on our paper, we'll do a first fan pattern test. And we have a similar fan pattern. You see how close the colors are? That means that this color is going to be able to cover no problem.
And you'll see how easy that base coat covers that sealer. Now, sealer is the perfect substrate for base coat. It's going to go on nice and even. You don't have to worry about one spot being lighter or trying to build up enough coverage in one particular area. And this is why I love sealer. And well, we're supposed to be using it on bumper covers anyways. We don't really want to put base coat right over that primer. You always want to seal off your parts and to ensure that your work is going to last, and well, that way you don't only have to use about 2 coats of base. Now, I will say on blue, reds, and yellow, you're gonna have to use a little bit more, which you'll see here in just a little bit, because you might think it's covered, but you need to make sure you check that color card against the car before you clear. And about 5 to 10 minutes later, we're gonna drop on that second coat of base, and let's check it out.
With 2 coats of base on, we're gonna check to see if we have full coverage over our vehicle. The best time to check coverage is going to be between around 12 to 2 in the afternoon. That's when the sun is right overhead. And you should be clearing this, but to get a quick check, you can use some wax and grease remover that we have right here. Now, if we look at this, we can see it's just a little bit too light. That's why it's such a good idea to make a spray out card while you are spraying. That way you can see if your coverage is good enough. So we'll head back in the booth. We'll apply a couple more coats.
I'm back in the booth. Guys, you do not need to clean out your spray gun in between coats. Now, you clean it out between sealer and base and then clear, but not between the same substrate.
And after those 2 more coats, you can see we got a much better color match. Now, you always want to kind of hold it the way that the bumper would sit. You don't want to hold it like this, because then that's going to catch the sun, make the color lighter. So I'm really happy with that for a butt match. It looks really good. So we're going to allow the base to dry for another good 20 minutes, and we'll go ahead and clear it. Well, not so fast. I forgot we have to paint that rear diffuser, and well, I got a color here. The color was not in the system. It wasn't listed under any accessories, but we used the camera, and I found a BMW color that's like an exact match to it. And I moved the diffuser by my exhaust and away from the rest of the parts so I don't get any metallic traveling over my already based out blue parts. After that first coat, it looks really good. Not a true test really to see how well it sprays metallic since it's such a small part, but well, it does have really good coverage. You can see how we just applied it. Now we're gonna do 1 more coat. We'll check this to make sure we have everything applied evenly in all of our edges, and then we can clear. After that second coat, we can move back to its original place and get ready for clear. Now, I will tell you something. If you don't let your paint flash off before you clear, you are putting yourself at a disadvantage. I tell you guys all the time, there's so many things that can go wrong with paint. Control the things that you can. Flash time, mixing the paint correctly, cleaning out your gun. Those are all things you can control. Don't leave anything to chance. We're gonna go ahead and mix some clear up and get started.
And just a reminder, this is a base coat gun, right? So there is another option. It is a clear coat gun, comes with a different air cap, slightly different makeup as well. And I look forward to reviewing that gun as well. But I wanted to get this one gun and try to run it through the phases and break the rules a little bit and see how it performs. And I will say it's performing really well. It's performing like a gun in this tier 2 category should, which I'll talk to you in a little bit about. And you just want to keep that consistent movement with this gun or any gun. You'll notice that sometimes I spray a little bit slow, sometimes I spray a little bit close and fast. It really depends on what the gun is doing. So what I really like to do is take a look at what is happening with the clear. Is it coming out fast? Do I need to keep up? Do I need to compensate it? But always remembering something. That is, you are the painter. You are in charge of this job. You are the one that calls the shots. When you walk into the paint booth, you own this. Hey guys, this is the first time I ever used this paint gun. Am I taking a risk on using it on a customer job? Yeah, but I have enough confidence and experience that I know I can manipulate this gun to make it work for me. Now, some painters might not have that confidence, but I've tried enough guns to know that, you know what, for the most part, they're all kind of just the same. It just comes down to the painter, but the paint gun makes it a little bit more efficient and easier, and that's just what we have here. And it was a hot one. It had over 95 degrees in the paint booth, so make sure you're using the right hardeners, right additives. Not all clear coats use reducers. Some just use hardeners like this one here. So you want to watch what the paint is doing. You can see it came out really good, pretty slick, a good decent factory orange peel, just what it should have to match the same texture that's already on the car, some slickness, and a little buffing that we'll do a little bit later on to take out some small debris.
Well, the clear coating is all done, and I like to give a scale grading to each one of the guns after we review it. For this particular gun, I would give it an 8 out of 10. But hold up, we cannot compare this gun to, let's say, a tier 3 gun and still give it the same rating. I would give this a tier 2 category rating because of the price range. But let me explain first. Tier 1 is my own rating scale. I give it from around $100 to possibly $200. All the guns that fall into that range I consider tier 1. And around $200 to $350 would be a tier 2, what this gun falls in. And then our tier 3 from $350 and above. If we were to drop this into a tier 3 category, it might only rate 5 out of 10. If we were to drop it into a tier 1 category, it would rate, I would say, a good 10 out of 10. But with all the other guns in its same range, tier 2, I give it an 8 out of 10 based off how easy it is to go into the spray booth, pick it up, and spray a job the first time. It atomizes well, it comes with a variety of different tips, it fits into your hand, and it seems to be really well built. A lot better built than some of the tier 1 paint guns that we've already looked at. Now, moving along, some of the things that I would like to see a little bit better is possibly a little bit wider spray pattern. As you use different materials, sometimes that spray pattern can kind of come down a little bit because it can't atomize as well. Also, a couple other things is the comfort of the gun in your hand, all right? Me being a painter with a little bit bigger hands, it's a little bit smaller than I would like, but that's just my opinion. Now guys, I hope you learned something from this video, and we're gonna go ahead and take everything and bolt it back up in the car and take a look at it. Don't forget to check out the merch store at paint.society.com. Also my Instagram, where you'll get the answers to most of your questions right away. That's paint.society. Until then, this is Brian from Paint Society reminding you, don't overthink it, it's just paint. I'll see you guys on the next one.